was 9, my 7-year-old sister and I went through several babysitters. Usually because of how bratty and loud we were, constantly begging to jump on the trampoline and play. Our parents were going out to the casino with a couple work friends and had gotten an older babysitter, a lady who was a college student and recently engaged. She was very nice and throughout the day played with us with at least a little enthusiasm. When it got dark, she turned on the TV to wind down while I was drawing at the kitchen counter and my sister was asleep on the couch. Our big dog, Maggie, was sitting in my dad's chair, only half asleep. The living room and kitchen lights were on and the babysitter had the doors locked after 8. We had 15 minutes until we needed to be in bed, and I was finishing what I was drawing, getting ready to sneak my drawing pad upstairs to draw some more under the babysitter's nose. And my sister had woken up. The dull tones of the TV were interrupted by a loud crashing sound coming from the basement down the hall. The first thought was an animal. Possibly a raccoon got through the basement door from the backyard. The single crash turned into loud scraping, what sounded like paper bags getting crushed, boxes getting knocked over, and glass breaking. The babysitter started screaming, and my sister and I began to freak out as well and began to cry. Maggie was barking loudly, only blocked from the basement by the door leading to it. The babysitter quickly grabbed the dog leash, got Maggie, and hurried us outside into the darkness. We darted down the street and stood across from the house, absolutely petrified at what was happening. She was trying to calm us down, asking us if we left the basement door open and if this had happened before. Living in Washington during the fall, it was easy to assume the wind could have blown a half-shut door open, but we said no to both questions, and the terrified woman dialed our parents on her phone. She said through her tears to my mother that there was an intruder in the basement, and our mother instantly got off the phone to get home as soon as possible. We could hear the noises from across the street, and from around the corner of our house, we could see the dimly lit light from the backyard basement door on, one that we never turned on. The crashes and bangs were gone as fast as they came, and all 3 of us had finally calmed down. That was until what happened next, which sends chills thinking about it all these years later. It wasn't an animal at all. The piano room, a room with 3 windows all across, was instantly lit up from the light switch getting flipped. We began to panic and scream again, since at this point it was obvious that we had an intruder in our house. The light was left on, and the foyer light leading to the front door was turned on as well. My babysitter was hyperventilating, and my sister and I were cowering behind her crying and bawling. What followed that night was my parents returning home, my mom talking to my babysitter outside for about 30 minutes while my dad searched the house. He came out saying the house was empty, but the basement was a mess and the door to it was left wide open. Whoever was in the house got out quick, probably from the sound of my dad's car pulling into the driveway. The basement was absolutely destroyed. The couch was overturned, one window cracked, and our holiday decorations strewn about the room. Ornaments were broken on the floor, and the storage closet had all of its contents tossed out. Large boxes opened and sorted through, but nothing was missing. I don't want to think about that night at all, or what could have happened to us if we chose to stay in the house. This story is from the point of view of a female. Last Easter, my dog was only about 3 months old at the time. I took her out to do her thing before going to bed. This was around 1:30 a.m. We went to the yard pitch black. The streetlights are kind of far away, so the only light was from people's windows. She's doing her thing, and I'm talking to her. I look up and look into my neighbor's yard. No fence, just 2 medium-sized trees are between our yards. And I see this tall man. I'm guessing around 2 meters tall. The guy is around 3 to 4 meters away from me and just stands there and stares. Suddenly he starts walking from the yard towards the street. I do the same. My front door was open. I didn't want to risk anything. When I come to the door, I see the guy. He stands in front of my neighbor's house and just stares back. I stood there for about 2 minutes, trying to see what he was doing. Then he started walking up the stairs of the house, and it looks like he's going in. At that point, I decide that I just have a creepy neighbor and go back into my apartment. I sit down on the couch and continue watching the TV. Then I start seeing someone blocking a beam of light that comes in through my curtains. It was like someone was walking in my yard. I mute the TV, but hear nothing. The weather was very cold, so the grass was crispy. I stand up and lift my curtains up, and there he is. Our faces were too close to each other's on the opposite side of the window. I managed to keep my cool and stared back. The guy just stood up and walked away in the crispy grass and went to my neighbor's yard again. I freaked out and called the cops. And now, maybe 1 month ago, I'm watching TV with the dog. All of a sudden she starts growling. Hairs on the back go up and teeth showing. There he was again, same window.